Good evening, everyone. This is a conference meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021, at 7:10 p.m. Roll call. Councilmember Eason? Here. Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
Present.
Councilmember Montague III?
Present.
Councilmember Ross?
Here.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Wooten?
Here.
Council President Coley?
Present.
Also present is Joyce Lanier, City Clerk, Lisette Sanchez, Deputy City Clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, Business Administrator, LaQuana Best, Planning Director, Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director, Adrian Matt, Finance Director, Gracia R. Montella, City Attorney, Chief Vinny Vitiello, Police Department, Niall Clements, Chief Financial Officer, Paula Fiera, Tax Collector, and Chris Murray, Tax Assessor, Marlon G. Towns, Legislative Research Officer, Marguerite Homer, City Clerk's Office. Please stand for a moment of silence.
Can we dedicate the moment of silence to Haiti? Thank you.
Thank you.
Please be apprised, anyone wishing to discuss agenda or council meeting items shall sign the book. Each person signing the book will be allotted 5 minutes to speak. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et the Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the record transcript, published in the Star Ledger on July 2nd, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and in the council's website and the city's website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. We were having a COVID-19 update, but the health officer is not available. So council members, any items on tonight's agenda you wish to discuss or have questions about?
Council members?
Council President. Council President.
I can't. Oh, you guys speaking to the mic. Get a little closer to the mic.
I don't want to. Okay, Council President.
Yep.
It is resolution 337.
337. Okay.
And if you look at the organizational chart, it needs to be updated because it lists Marty Mays as the Director of Planning and Development and Department of Public Works. Director of Planning and Development is LaQuana Best, so that needs to probably be changed or updated, I think. Not sure. It's 337, B.A. Chris.
I couldn't understand you. Say again? I'm sorry.
It's resolution 337, the organizational chart is
Yeah.
incorrect.
Right.
No, but she had said something afterwards. I couldn't
Yes.
quite understand.
I was telling B.A. Chris what it was. It's the organizational chart on 337. I think it needs to be updated.
Council members, any other?
Council President, if I may,
Yes,
through
Councilman
you
Johnson.
to administration, 332-2021.
Yes, 332.
Why are we dealing with something from 2017 in July of 2021?
What did Chris do?
Somebody explain what's going on?
Council President,
Yes, Council Vice President.
Mr. Hartwick stepped out, but Joyce,
Well, we can have the tax collector come up. Paula, you want to come up and give us some background on this resolution, please?
well, he's taking it. He's taking it to executive.
Council President, if I may, before Council President, if I may,
Yes.
before
To the microphone.
tax collector, you can step up one. If I may, Council President, before the tax collector actually speaks on this, this is actually an ongoing investigation, which I would either defer to the business administrator or, again, advise the governing body that this is an ongoing investigation, and it's been ongoing for several years now. So the tax collector is not actually able to comment on it right now. To the extent that the governing body would like further explanation, the city attorney's office would make itself available for that explanation.
Well, how about you, being that you know the background, how about you give us,
Council President?
Yes, Council Vice
Just a point
President.
of order. Mr. Hartwick has requested that we take that into executive session tonight.
Exactly.
So we're not going to discuss that right now. He wants to do an executive session.
executive session on 3/3/2/20.
Yeah, and I think Joyce is
21.
going to do it at the end of the meeting.
I can,
332.
all right. Council members, can you guys do me a favor? When you're talking, if you don't mind, just taking your mask down so I can clearly hear you a little better and the recording can pick you up so everything will be nice and clear, if you don't mind.
All right.
Thank you.
Minister Rita Hartwick is asked that we take that into executive session 332.
Okay, executive session 332. Council members, any other ordinances, resolutions?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Ross.
33821. Can somebody explain this? Is solar charged benches? Where will these be and what are they going to be used for?
Sure, they'll be on Main Street, and they provide directional services throughout the city. So it'll point you to City Hall, it'll point you to the library. There's some advertising that pays for the solar benches. This is a pilot program. If we don't like it, we can get rid of it.
Okay, thank you.
Council President,
Yes.
34-2021, our finance attorney has asked that we postpone that one.
Which one you said, 334?
No, 34, an ordinance.
34?
2021.
Yeah, if we could hold that.
Yeah, he's asked, you gonna pull it? Okay. He asked that we put, so that's fine. And
Okay.
40-2021, can Mr. Hartwick explain 40-2021?
So 40-2021 is an initiative that I requested the Law Department to research starting a little over a year ago. Okay, can we come back to that? I gotta take this call.
All right. Okay, so Council Vice President, you guys discussed 40-2021 in the Finance Committee meeting, so you pretty much...
He's going to explain 40-2021,
Okay.
because nobody knew where that came from. 27-2021, I think Ms. Lanier has some information on that one.
We didn't receive the decal. I think Council Member Wooten.
She's having a hard time obtaining that, and I've reached out to someone that works for DMV, and they're trying to help her with that now. So if we want to pull it and bring it back when she gets that, that's fine, but she's aware.
Okay. So the recommendation will be to vote it down and bring it back.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Which number is that? I'm sorry.
27-2021?
Right.
Council members, any other?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Wooten.
38-2021. That's to change Bradford Street to a one-way street. I'm just wondering, like, there's only 6 signatures on the petition, and did we, like, contact most of the street, or because we don't want to, well, remember we changed the street in the South Ward, and then we had to change it back and change it back because the residents weren't so happy. I would just wanted to make sure that they were just cool. Everybody is basically cool with the street going one way.
Yes, I covered that we met with them, and Most of them are happy. Some of them didn't sign, even though they're happy they wanted it done. But you know how some residents are. They say, oh, we're so happy you're going to do that. So we also have to change the alternate street parking over there to change the hours because we're trying to give them more parking. And one of the things I'm going to recommend to our engineer when Mr. Hartwick gets back in my ward, I need to look at a couple of streets like Jefferson, because even with Bradford, when they're parked on both sides, one car has to back up all the way back out to Washington or all the way back out to Albany. So we're going to try to alleviate some of that and make sure that the residents can park and we can have traffic. Because Berryman is a one-way going down, so we're making Bradford a one-way coming up. So the engineer and we have talked to the residents, so they're good.
And Council President,
Yes, Council.
my other question, like pertaining to that, is it possible for us to get a list of streets that are being reviewed now for one-way streets by our engineer? Can we just have that as council people?
I don't see why, I guess the engineering department wouldn't provide that information. I guess we can just make that request to the BA when he comes back.
It's just so when we meet with people regarding parking, if we know this is going on, we could let the constituents on those blocks know
All right.
to give them options.
When the BA come back, don't let me forget, or you can say something.
Okay, all right.
Between the
Thank
two
you.
of us.
Thank you.
Yep. Council members, any other ordinances?
Oh,
Resolutions?
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
334, it may be the tax assessor.
334. One second.
It's an overpayment that we made, and we're refunding it back. Just wanted to know if this was like a computer glitch or, because when the resident came to me, she was really upset. But she was happy that you were trying to help her. So is this something that we might need to look for in other cases, or maybe it's a one-time thing?
Yeah, so it basically.
So
one
state your
time-
name for the record.
I'm Chris Murray, tax assessor.
Is this pulled?
So basically, it was a one-time thing for this property, but
334 is
going
it
through
pulled?
looking for other ones, we found 4 other properties where there was a glitch in the system. We're going to generate an extra added assessment tax bill.
Okay.
So we have to just get those wiped out. But we also filed appeals,
Yeah.
Okay.
correction of errors appeals at the state tax court
Okay.
to alleviate that as well. But the tax courts are really backed up, so they're only at like case 4,000 or case 8,700. So
Okay.
it's faster to go this route to give them some relief.
Okay, all right. Thank you. She's very happy.
All right, good.
Thank you.
Council members, any other ordinances, resolutions? That meet? Oh, Mr. B, are you back or are you still on your?
It's all right. I've got a couple minutes.
Okay. When the engineering department is going out doing assessment on streets that is being considered for one-way, can you make sure that that list get forwarded to the clerk's office so we can just have a working list of streets that's being considered?
Sure, there's a group of streets in the valley, and there's a group of streets in the East Ward.
Okay,
So I'll have the lists forwarded to the clerk.
okay, thank you.
And Council
Council
President,
President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
I was going to add to that, I was going to make that recommendation tonight, Mr. Hartwick, that we do the North Ward and have the engineer look at the streets that we can turn into one-way, because a lot of my streets, you can only go one way. Otherwise, you got to back all the way out to let the other car down. So I have a couple that I will give to you tomorrow.
That's fine.
But I want him to look at the whole ward just to see what streets we can turn into one way. I guess we're on the same page as New York is right now. They have a lot of streets going in, going out, and I guess that with the traffic and the parking the way it is, we're probably on that road to do some of the same things.
Okay.
I I had a meeting with Snyder Street last night, and this came up, so it would be good to know whenever you're meeting with people, you can let them know that that's something that's being considered for their street.
So I think what we'll do is, in addition to the lists that we've already been provided, we'll have the engineers set up a multi-phase assessment by ward, by street.
All right, thank you.
Any other ordinances, resolutions?
President,
Yes,
I just
Councilwoman.
wanted to say, Village Administrator Harvick is doing double duty tonight.
Yes.
Trying to solve, he's on a meeting, so that's why he's back and forth, just so the audience will know that he's trying to finish up something and help us and do what he needs to do. So he's doing double duty tonight. But we're not going to give him any extra pay, but
I think, Council President, Councilwoman Easton wanted 337 explained.
337. Mr. B, are you back?
Yes.
Can you explain Resolution 337, 2021, please?
337?
Yes.
So there is a new requirement to update this manual on an annual basis. So the policies and procedures that are set forth in the federal aid projects manual need to be updated from time to time by the municipality to ensure that we're abiding by the federal guidelines.
Okay. Any other questions on the, say again?
Council,
40, 2021? Oh, yeah, Chris, Mr. B, you, 40, 2021. Can you explain that one real quick, please?
I'm sorry, what number, Council President?
40, Ordinance 40, 2021.
So this is the one I started and it got interrupted. I apologize. A little over a year ago, the administration asked the law department to initiate a rent registration ordinance. It was a result of continuing complaints that when there was a code violation, we were having difficulty actually bringing responsible parties to court. In rented properties, oftentimes the owner is hiding behind an LLC. In addition, we don't have the tenants' names. So the thrust and purpose of this ordinance is to require the landlord to register every rental unit on an annual basis and provide us with the name of the tenant, a copy of the lease, the contact information, as well as the landlord's contact information, actual phone number, and actual address where they can be served with a summons. That's the thrust of the registration ordinance. And in addition, there's a revenue component to it because the landlord has to pay a fee on an annual basis to rent the unit and register it.
Maybe I overlooked it, but who and what department will be monitoring and overseeing this task?
So the registration will fall under the rent leveling responsibilities, and that's within the planning department.
Okay, so I guess the current staff/TO will be able to absorb this new task, or?
That's the plan.
Okay. All right.
Council President,
Yes, Council Vice President.
through you to the Village Administrator, does that now mean that that would also apply to our senior buildings and any high-rise apartments?
It would, but senior buildings don't turn over like the other buildings do.
Well, I have one that does, so can we include them also that, because, with
Talk about 98.
98 and 82, I'm having a
That's
hard-
exactly, those are some of the exact offenders that we're looking at.
So we're going to include 98?
They're included.
Okay, because 98 and 82, we're having the hardest time finding the owner, because as you said, they're hiding behind the LLC, and they're using their management company to handle all the issues, and nothing is getting done.
Right, and we're not accepting management companies as a proxy to ownership.
Okay.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
through you to the Business Administrator, Resolution 331.
Yes.
Is it possible to get, where it says other expenses, is it possible to get a list of what those expenses are? Or does that make sense?
Mr. CFO?
For like, basically all of them, because when you count, this money is quite a bit of money. So, for example, you see, like other expenses, $65,000 for like the law department, or administrative services, $50,000 for what the other expenses are. Is it possible to get a list of those?
It's possible, but to be honest, these are accounts that need to be refilled so that we can pay recurring bills. In administration, we need to pay our internet bills, our Comcast bills. The city attorney's office asked for more money for pending settlements that I can't talk about.
Okay.
So not every department is listed here, just departments where there's an immediate need until we adopt the budget.
Okay.
So we have like a health insurance, we have our general liability insurance, certain divisions in buildings and grounds. The police division, that's not O&E, that's salaries and wages, but
Right.
they're working a lot with the COVID emergency. So I'll be happy to explain anything.
Okay, okay.
It's more so to keep the city afloat until we to adopt the budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Ross.
we are going into executive session later on.
Yes, to
What,
discuss.
332?
Yes, sir.
Can we also discuss in executive session 339?
Sure.
Thank you.
Add that to the list. 332, 339. Any other ordinances, resolutions that need to be discussed, council members? Uh, 14-2021 is going to remain on the table, and 24-2021 is going to, we're going to keep that postponed. Madam Clerk?
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:33 PM. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chamber, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Wednesday, July 7th, 2021, at 7, immediately following the conference. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the Council President.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Present.
Councilmember Montague III.
Present.
Councilmember Ross.
Present.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Wooten.
Here.
Council President Coley.
Present.
Also present is Joyce Lanier, the city clerk, Lisette Sanchez, the deputy city clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the business administrator, LaQuana Best, the planning director, Kenneth Douglas, the fire director, Adrian Mapp, the finance director, Gracia R. Montillis, the city attorney, Chief Vinnie Viniello, police department, Niall Clements, chief financial officer, Paula Fiera, tax assessor, Chris Murray, tax collector, nope, Paula, the tax collector, and Chris Murray, the tax assessor. Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer. That's it. The requirements of NJ SA 10:4-9 et sec, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was sent to the records transcript, published in the Star Ledger on July 2nd, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, the council's website, the city website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. There are no meeting minutes to approve. Reports. The Department of Community Service collected for the month of May, $15,003. There are no constable reports, no OPA reports, council reports.
Finance Department, anything you guys want to share?
I think, Mrs. Lanier, we covered everything already, right?
Well, yeah,
That was a
we covered
concern?
it. If you just want me to go over it again.
If you don't mind? Yeah, sure.
Ordinance 14-2021, the recommendation is to table. 24-2021, postpone. 27-2021, voted down and bring back. 34-2021 is going to be postponed to the August 4th meeting. Something about it needs to go back before the planning board. And then we're going into executive session for 332 resolution and 339.
I'm sorry, Council President, could the clerk just repeat what we're doing on 34? Because it's on for
34,
second reading, right?
It's on for second reading, so we're going to keep the
Public hearing
open
Okay.
to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, just so the public know, there are 3 walk-ons.
Council President.
Are the copies in the lobby?
Yes, sorry.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman
If I
Johnson.
may task him, can I borrow a pen from somebody? I just ran out of ink on mine.
No.
I'm writing and all of a sudden it just disappears. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Hey, Chief Vitiello, anything from the police department you want to share with us today? Absolutely, sir.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure seeing everyone in person. I have a couple handouts for you guys. Just get around. Take one and pass them along. There are monthly stats along with a revised Community Service Bureau unit, which I think everyone will be happy about. There's the contact captain and her subordinates listed in there. So if there's any questions, if you want to set up any meetings, any community meetings with the respective community service personnel, it's all there for you. And, I advise you do so. Because we're really looking to bring, I don't know, does everyone remember Don Wachter? How great it used to be, our Community Service Bureau?
Yes.
We want to bring it back to that level, even better. So we're looking forward to doing that, and we have the personnel in place now to do that. So just a couple things. The month of June, we had, we've been looking at Metcalf Playground because of all the complaints we've been getting, so we've been doing several park and walks. Our patrol division saw a car that looked out of sorts, pulled it over, did an investigation. A gang member was arrested for a warrant. We did a search warrant on the car, and we found the gun out of that car. So that was a good job, stemming from the parks. Day Street, another good job, special operations. Division conducting an investigation, and we arrested another gang member with a 9mm handgun, which was loaded. And Thomas and Dodd, we got a lot of complaints down there concerning drug activity. Subsequently, we effected an arrest and got over 230 envelopes of heroin and a handgun. So the guys are on it, and in the month of June, we also confiscated 6 handguns off the street. And it was a rough weekend concerning the fireworks. I assure you, our personnel were out there doing the best they could. They were informed of the state statutes. A lot of the problem was coming from Orange Park, believe it or not. And I contacted the sheriff, and we're working on that again. That's where a lot of the fireworks are coming. I mean, it was spread out throughout the city, and we were doing our best to handle that. So
That's all you can do.
that's what we could do.
It's going to always be a problem.
So with that, I know that the council might have some questions for me, so I'm going to cut my report short. And if there's any questions?
Council members, any questions for the chief?
Council President?
Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
I don't really have a question as much as I just want to thank you. I met Captain Cummings, so we've been planning the next group of neighborhood watches. So there's 2 next week and 10 more coming on board in the South Ward. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you, I guess it's Detective Johnson, went out to the resident on Haywood and Berkeley.
Detective Johnson right there.
Thank you. Thank you for going to see her to address an issue that we had over there. So I thank you for that.
And I just, concerning your ward, I just want to go over a couple things. We had 2 homicides in that area. One, which was on Haxton, and it was actually, I can't get into details right now because it became a homicide. It was an aggravated assault at first. It was a love triangle, so it's going to be a domestic violence. I really can't talk much on it now because it is a homicide being handled by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. But there is an arrest made on that actually tonight.
And then
in South
7 Oaks
Carolina.
Road.
Yes. 7 Oaks Road, it was
Domestic.
sad. It's a father-son where the son was emotionally disturbed and attacked and bludgeoned the father, who was there for like 3 weeks. And we happened to do a well-being check. We found him there, but he's also arrested and locked up. And then I know you had a question about a search warrant on Sterling. That was an outside agency, which the Orange Police knew nothing about. We found out later, and I also told that department because there should have been a courtesy given to me when they came into the city. So we handled that, and we've been at the pools, we've been at the parks, and we're here for whatever you guys need.
Thank you.
Questions?
Council President?
Councilman Ross.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny. You guys are doing a great job. I just want to talk about the fireworks this weekend. I know it was a horrendous weekend. You know, I was up all weekend, you know, till 1 o'clock at night with boom, 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 boom. Anyway, it's illegal. Was any fines given out to anyone over the weekend?
See, that's a tricky. The aerial ones are illegal. The ground burst ones are not. However, if it's past a certain time and the noise, they're researching now how many ordinances or citations were issued concerning the weekend. We're still waiting on that to come back, so I'll get back to you with that.
Was any fireworks confiscated?
No.
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 Okay.
Usually by the time we get there, they're gone.
Another issue.
And I've been on the end of those fireworks.
I was going to say,
Early on
I'm
in my
not
career.
sticking around either.
Another issue, and this has been going on for some time now, and it's getting worse and worse. Speeding. Speeding on Highland Avenue, Berkeley, and Lincoln. I mean, these cars just fly by there, you know, and some of these muscle cars, I call them, with the loud noises, just going by, zooming by, and somebody's got to get hurt. We need some kind of control out there.
We've been doing traffic checkpoints on Skyland, Hayward, we'll do Highland now. We issued we did about 50 pullovers with 67 violations and 4 towed vehicles. So we'll keep that up, because what happens is when we keep doing it, people will eventually comply. But we have to be consistent in what we do and how we do it, and we'll do that. And the city's also getting the radar signs, which is a great help. So we are enforcing that.
Okay. 'Cause it's going out of control now.
It is, and that's why we're on it. And we have, we're doing what we can.
Okay.
Because not only our traffic unit, but we have patrol doing it also.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know we had the conversation about the officers walking the beach,
Yes.
walking the streets. Okay, I know they're in the parks, in and around the parks, but I still haven't seen them in the neighborhoods.
Yes, we're going to get them on the streets. So, we were short a little bit with the specials and certain things we had going on, details, but they'll be out there within the next week or so.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
Through you to Captain Vidiello. So my question or my concern is, on Hampton Terrace, the street is split, and part is Orange, part is East Orange, and I get calls regarding the East Orange portion where people are parked overnight. But I say that to say I reached out to the Chief of Staff for East Orange, and he suggested that you and Chief Bendy, I guess, get together and talk about those
Yes.
streets. I don't know how it's done.
I've been in direct communication with Chief Bendy numerous times. And I can tell you, Lieutenant Stefanelli, our traffic division has also been in contact with their traffic division. And as you know, most of that problem isn't from our residents; it's from East Orange. So, and I think I might have to push them a little more to come to a solution.
Just want the residents to know that you are.
No, we are.
You are doing something.
But a lot of the problems come from the East Orange end, and they have to implement some programs.
Okay. All right. And Berwyn Street is another street
Yes.
that's kind of.
Yeah, we're running out of parking spots in the city. Fast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council members, any other questions?
Council President.
Councilman Johnson.
If I may ask Chief Benny Vidiello a question. On your crime stat report, on page 2, in the first graph on uniform crime reports,
Yes.
how do you guys arrive at the arson number?
At the arson,
Yeah, how is that determined in the police department that it's an actual arson?
well, what will happen is that we'll get a determination from one of our detectives. We'll be in contact with the fire department, and the prosecutor's office will come out, and they will let us know if, in fact, they believe it was an arson, and that's how we'll document it and put it in the UCR, and then in turn investigate it.
And that same 2 account would show up in the fire department as arsons in their reports too?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Council President.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
Police Chief, let's go back to firecrackers, because my ward was inundated with them, not only Orange Park. So we were trying to figure out, in fact, we had our legislative research office trying to figure out, is there something we can legislate, or is everything already on the books that?
No, I think you would have to put that in ordinance concerning the fireworks. I think we discussed that last year. See, we put this out. We give it to our public information officer from the police department to City Hall, and they had put this out on the website. However, I want to do it in the police department, so I know everything's getting out properly and correctly. Not that I'm not saying that it's not, but I want to be able to control the flow of information through the police department on what's getting out to the public. And that's why Captain Brown is working on that Facebook and doing an updated Facebook page and social media, so we can get this information out there.
But is there anything we can legislate? So you're saying we can do an ordinance?
You can do an ordinance. You can sit down. You can go through the 2C book, because 2C book is vague on fireworks. It's explosive devices. And so many grams of fire powder and gunpowder. So I guess legal could sit down and go over that and then tailor it to the needs of the city.
So who in your department, would that be Captain Cummins, that we can sit down with to go over how we should?
Yes, Captain Cummins.
So we can get that together maybe and put something on the books at the next meeting?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something about Captain Cummins. She is
I know
ready
her.
to go.
You know I know.
She's great.
I've been knowing her for years, so yeah, she's good.
I'm so happy to have her.
And I'm looking at your stats. Number 7, auto theft. Is there any particular area that they're concentrating in, or is there some hints you can give the residents so that we can sort of get that number down?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That and burglaries, what happens is car theft is pretty much all over the city, all over the state, all over the county. what's going to happen now is the same information I give you guys, all our tour commanders get and all our commanders get. So if they see a spike in burglaries, community service now, they're going to go out to that location and speak to the residents of that location with some tips, maybe security surveys, not only with the burglaries, but with the car thefts, maybe larcenies and thefts, and items like that. But if you see, our violent crime has been going down. It's just all the other little things, there's an uptick. And you know what? We were so low last year because of COVID that now, you know, any little thing is going to go up. But if you look at our violent crime, it's still pretty much down.
But are there any hints you can give to the community that can sort of help protect us against some of these things?
Yes.
Like, just
do not leave your keys in the car. Do not leave exposed items on your seat. Do not make it a pretty target for the individuals to go after that car, go into that car. You know how many cars are stolen because the keys are left in there or the doors are left open? A lot. And that's where the larceny and thefts are up high too, because you know, you go into a car, now that's a burglary, that's a theft. They're taking that item out, and that raises our numbers. So we have to be aware, even in your home with the burglaries, make sure your windows are shut, your doors are locked, and we're going to be giving out, in the subsequent communities, we're going to be giving out these little tips that Tangela's been working on, Captain Cummings, to give out to the community to assist them. All you have to do is give us a call. You have a question about any type of security, any type of crime, any type of activity, anything you need a hand with, we are there to help.
One other question I have, because are your police officers required to carry a Narcan? Is it Narcan in the car?
Narcan, yes.
So every car should have a
Yes.
can? Can you check and make sure that is a true statement?
Yes, we'll make sure that.
We had an incident in the North Ward and they didn't have any, so let's, maybe you can make sure.
I'll make sure every car has one.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments for the chief? Yeah, Chief, I had one. What is the current posture of the police department regarding temp tags that are expired and expired registrations?
Well, now that everything's going back to normal, we're going to start enforcing those laws. Because you remember, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a grace period that was being given out from DMV. However, now we're past that point, so now we'll be enforcing those violations.
Okay, because I just see folks just
Yes,
stuff from 2020, just taped any kind of way, just riding around like they're correct. Have you ever thought about maybe reaching out to DMV to see if they have like a mobile van and they can just maybe just start doing like some type of mobile stops here in Orange just for DMV services?
They used to do that a while ago,
right?
When we were on it together. Well, I'll check down, see if they still provide that service.
Because that would help out, quite a bit if they can just start circulating around with their mobile services, just popping, schedule a day, be wherever for 5, 6 hours, come out, get your stuff done, and keep on moving.
Exactly, a great idea. Just like bringing up again, like our mobile drug unit too from the county,
right?
Which has been great. And they love coming to Orange because we assist them, and we get a good response from that.
Right.
Council,
yes, Councilwoman.
And to the police chief, you might want to check the governor's executive order, because my understanding is they've given everybody till July 31st to get their licenses, the temp tags, registrations in order. So he has extended it to July 31st. So you
We'll check that out.
Yeah, check that out.
I thought it was June, but I'm probably wrong.
That just came out from what I understand last week.
Okay.
Now, that's what I was told, so check it out.
I'll definitely check it. Thank you.
Chief, always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. It's good seeing everybody in person.
You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's make a mess over here. Director Douglas, any comments you want to share with us, sir?
Director Douglas, is some wipes up there? You can-
Oh, yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Council President, Mr. B.A. Hartwick, council members. It's a pleasure to be back in your presence again indoors. We've come to a point that we're getting past COVID, or hopefully so, with a new variant in presence right now, but hopefully that stays where it's at. It's always a pleasure to talk in front of the council and address the community. First and foremost, I'd like to just let you know that all members in the Orange Fire Department status quo. We have nobody right now that actually has COVID or has had it in the last month, which is a great thing. There's no reports on any hydrants that's been down in the city, especially with the heat wave going on right now. And there's been fires in other cities, but I'm glad to say that Orange has been very quiet. Don't want to put any bad luck on us, but we've been great. Our community efforts for the last several years have been working. Our numbers have been down. If you've seen the budget hearing report, if you read that, you see every year we're down a certain percentage, and we're down probably at its lowest point ever. We continue our efforts with the Orange Police Department as assisting the food pantry on a daily basis, packaging goods and produce for all the residents in need. Also, the fire department with the new apparatus that we acquired from last year to this year, we're continuing training around the city. Even though the weather's been hot, we have to really be careful with that because, of course, over 90 degrees, the fire department can't train outside, so we do training inside the building and also outside on those days permitting. We're getting ready right now for the fall, permitting the fact that this new variant doesn't change anything, for presentations back into the senior buildings and also to the schools. I have a conversation with the superintendent soon to make sure the fact that with their protocol, we're following it to keep everybody safe. Also, looking forward to probably next year, depends on how everything goes, to reinstate the Junior Public Safety Academy so we can get children back in and teach them fire safety, what fire departments do, and also with the police department. And I want to thank the nonprofit organization Enable. We did acquire one intern this year, no cost to the city. Actually a pretty good organization. They're looking actually for more locations for the interns. It's an Orange High School soon-to-be senior. He works in the fire department 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, and it's a pleasure to have him there. That's good. I'm open for any questions, and thank you for your time.
Council members, any questions for the fire director?
I'll just ask him if he has more than 2 arsons reported.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay, I believe so, but I know one arson was an arrest of the habitual arsonist that did happen. I think it was the fall then? No, in the springtime. Got a call from the prosecutor's office. Actually, they caught the person. They let him out, but then actually caught him, and I believe he's incarcerated right now. He was actually the one setting fires since last last fall. There's a couple of fires.
What is the fire department's role in determining the arson act itself?
Cause and origin. Fire department, since we're the first on the scene with that, we have our arson investigator come out there. If he determines the cause and origin to be an arson, the Orange Police and the prosecutor's office is notified.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Council members, any questions for the director? I just have one. Director, with all this new development that's going on here in town,
yes.
I guess with these fire suppression systems that are now required by code, so do we have a team that goes out and do these inspections, make sure that everything is installed according to the code in the city ordinance?
So pre-inspection, before any dirt or soil is moved, of course they have to go through a process through City Hall, through fire, through the code to make sure the systems and the blueprints are all in place related to the code. Our fire official also, he's part of that process with the code enforcement that's in City Hall. Also, in addition to that, the fire department actually goes out to these construction sites between the beginning of construction to the end, so they can see exactly how these buildings are built and the things that's in them, just in case there's a fire in the building. I mean, years ago, you have a lot of heavyweight construction, now it's a lot of lightweight construction, which is always a concern in the fire service. But it's always a constant inspection in the fire department with all personnel to exactly know what's going on with the new construction in the buildings. But the code is actually confirmed by the fire official, who's actually the main person.
And you guys are keeping up-to-date, accurate records of all these inspections and reports?
Absolutely. Those are in the records of the fire department, and the annual inspection is every year.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. questions.
Thank you, Director.
All right, thank you.
Good seeing you, sir.
All right, thank you, you too. And be careful and be safe this summer. Thank you.
You too. Ms. Best, is there anything you want to share with us regarding planning and development? What's going on? You good? Oh, okay. No, I mean, anything that you want to highlight that's going on in planning and development?
Good evening, LaQuana Best, Director of Planning. I'll make it brief. Nothing. Well, as you all know, that we just recently had the groundbreaking for 377 Crane Street, so we're excited about that. We had another groundbreaking about a month ago, so that our department is very busy, and we keep everyone busy. We keep the police busy, the fire busy, because the more we build, the more they have to be involved. So it's a really exciting time for planning, and we just thank all the council for your support.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President, if I may ask the director a question before she flies back to her seat.
She was like, I'm good.
Yeah, we got to put 2 of those things down on the ground so people that stand in the spot and freeze. One of the biggest concerns that I have, and I get it repeatedly from many people, is the community is taken aback by some of the construction stuff because there's a lack of communication. And it seems as though everybody's almost surprised in their neighborhood when something goes down, when rigs and trucks show up and all of a sudden the fence goes up and then there's a beautiful covering on the fence and somebody says, well, where that's coming from? Are we going to establish going forward some type of protocol to start getting the word out in the community that we're developing all over the place, and people won't be so shocked? Can we handle that?
Yes, I think that's definitely a wonderful suggestion, and I think it's important that when these projects are brought forth before the planning board, a big item that we can start to reiterate toward the developers is to have these community meetings. It's just, at that point, it's just a matter of, people actually coming out. And it depends on where the location is sometimes, or which ward, where you'll bring in more people from that particular ward. Right. But I definitely think it's a good idea to require or highly recommend the developers to do these community meetings once these larger developments come, so that everyone is in the know, and we can definitely do that.
Okay, well, I'm available in the West Ward, and we're doing things post-COVID now, so we was kind of handcuffed for the last 14 or so months. But I know going forward, I've already contacted a couple of spots that I'll be reaching out to you guys that I need to have some West Ford folks sit in front of the planning and some of the developers in the community meeting. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you much.
Council President.
Council President.
Yes, Councilwoman Wooten.
Wooten's President. You sure? Through you to Director Best and to the business administrator, I think it would be fantastic if we did something regarding planning and maybe ran it on Channel 35 so people would know exactly what goes on in your department, because there are a lot of things that go on in the planning department, and maybe even showcase, you let people know what your strengths are and your vision of the department and who our planner is. I think that would be fantastic.
You have in mind like a filmed interview with a PowerPoint?
That would be great. That would be great. Something that could be on.
We're going to make the director a television star.
And we could put it on YouTube, TV, and.
It's fine.
Okay. All right.
We can work on that.
Thank you.
No problem, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Director Best, I just want to say thank you for implementing, giving me the violations by street when I meet with the neighborhood watch groups. They really love to hear about it, because a lot of times they think I don't want, how to say, like properties might be getting away with not maintaining, and then when we give them the stats, they're like, okay. And then it also giving examples of what is a violation, because they may not know that. So I appreciate it. It's a really good element to our neighborhood watches, so I thank you for that.
You're welcome, and I think with what Councilwoman Wooten just suggested, that information as far as what are violations could be included so that everyone is aware.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Director Best, before you go, the community notification, I guess, for these planning board meetings, I guess when the developer had to send out a certified mail, a letter notifying the community, is that a local ordinance or that's a state statute?
That is state statute, I believe. Yes.
State
They have
statute?
to, yes.
Is there any way that we can strengthen that by making it a requirement that it has to be regular mail and a community flyer to every house in that particular, I guess, grid or area?
It's certified mail.
It's
Definitely
certified
has to be-
mail
has to
right
be
now.
certified.
I know, because the certified mail, it's at a disadvantage because
People have to sign for it?
people got to sign for it, and by the time some folks go to the post office, the event has already happened, and folks don't know about it. And I asked one of the developers that, and he just hang his hat on that particular statute, that that's all he have to do. And I just think that being fair, taking these things a step further, trying to be a good neighbor, regular mail, and doing a community flyer. It's not like it's going to cost a whole lot for them just to do a little lit drop to the people within that 200 feet radius of those properties that they're discussing. I don't know if that's something that we could start to begin to have these discussions with these developers, because like me, for example, when I didn't know about it, because it was at the very last moment that I was able to get the certified letter. But if it was a community, if it was a community flyer that was sent out, if it was regular mail that was sent out, myself and other folks would have been notified a lot sooner. Or maybe that's something that the planning board, your department could maybe just do, if it's something that we can do without having the developer saying, well, being that a state statute, we're just going to do the certified letter, and only like maybe 30% of the people, get the notification, and the regular 70% doesn't. Because that's pretty much the numbers when it comes to these notifications.
So I think that the first step might be just having a conversation with the law department, just to see where we can start with that as far as enforcing any other additional statutes. But I think a second part could be for the planning board meetings, perhaps I can just ensure that the board secretary just sends the agenda to the council, just so that you all are aware each meeting what is on the agenda. So at least you know what could be coming, what is on the agenda for the board to vote on. And that's just strengthening communication. But the first step would really just be speaking with the law department to see how we can implement such a law as far as doing it certified as well as regular mail.
Well, will it? I don't think it. I mean, this is me just thinking out loud. If the city is thinking about doing a development with this developer knows that within, I think that's the 200 feet radius, correct?
Correct, yeah.
That he had to send out the certified
Yeah, they have to do that.
letters.
Yes.
I don't see why the city, when they do these community notifications for all the other things that they do, I don't see why they can't also do a flyer, for that localized group of that 200 feet radius. That's just something that, Mr. B, you understand what I'm saying? Because there are many times when we get these flyers because the administration is doing this, they doing that, and I'm just saying if we can also include that flyer distribution for these meetings when we're having these developers coming in discussing what's going to happen, what's going to be happening within that radius of people property. Just more notification and just make it a little fair to people.
Okay.
Director, Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Easton, yes.
To Director Best, you might want to have your planning attorney look into that because I know one of the reasons they send a certified letter is so that they can get a commitment from the public that they received it. Because a lot of times, you remember in the past, people would come and say, I didn't receive the letter, but they would have a certified card signed by that person that they did get it. So I don't think the certification piece is ever going to go away, but you might, because that is their confirmation that they notified the public. But you might want to talk to Attorney Wenzel about something to go on along with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course,
hold on, Council. You have something?
I just want to say to Director Best and to BA Chris that can we also look at the processes of how something comes to be. For example, some people think that once it passes the planning board that it may never have to come back to the council, and sometimes it doesn't have to come back to us, but sometimes it does. And so I think if we explain the process to people, like, yeah, it passed the planning board, but it has to come back to the council for the redevelopment plan. That would be absolutely fantastic too, because I get a lot of questions about like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Ross.
How you doing, Director Best? Just a quick question on the development on Highland and Lincoln. That's my neighborhood, and I get questions all the time. Can you just give me an update as to the process and what's going on in a time frame as to when development will start?
That was approved a few months back. They are still waiting for resolution compliance from the planning board engineer, and then once they receive that, they would submit then they would get their final site plans approved or signed by the board secretary and the engineer, and then they would be able to apply for their permits with the building department. So that's kind of where it's probably going to be a few more months. Maybe the end of this year, you might see permits being pulled and construction beginning. But that's where we are with that particular.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Want to take the weights off my feet now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Madam Clerk, we good?
There are no communications and petitions. Citizen comments. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in an audible tone for the record, and unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 5 minutes. The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further discussion.
Janasha Ward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can everyone hear me? I don't want to get too close.
If you don't mind, pull your mask down a little bit so we can hear you a little clearer.
Can you hear me now?
If you can step a little closer to the mic, it'd be a lot better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to state for the record that returning to this in-person meeting reduces the access for public discourse, acting only to move Orange continually backwards. This meeting should be able to not only be streamed on a local channel, it should also be able to be zoomed and/or follow the direction of the school board, which is to stream the meeting on a YouTube channel where people can communicate and ask questions. I think that that is a direction that you guys can take. It should be cost-effective. YouTube channels are free. So the next thing is, regarding the 2021 budget, I believe that the budget approval should be held until the CBAC members get a chance to review all the new walk-ons and all the new changes, including the 3.4 tax increase that is being proposed, because that is a blaring indication of poor bookkeeping, and it also shows that putting it in after CBAC has reviewed everything, after we were told on record that, you know, New Jersey only increases up to 2%, and now there's a 3.4%. I believe that some hard cuts need to be made. I believe that there should be some pay increases that are stopped. I believe that if the citizens and the residents of Orange have to choose between getting their tax assessed and raised, that there should also be skin in the game from the people in which manage the funds and our assets. Okay. And also, CBAC did indicate that all the vacancies adding up to $790,000 north of that, of vacancies that were in our budget, we should be able to find some funds to alleviate some of our woes. We shouldn't be doing these walk-ons and, you know, over-approving. And I charge the council members. I don't just want to hear about people abstaining votes when it comes to who's going to be president or vice president. It needs to be spoken up also when it comes to the management of town funds. I think that people need to speak up then also and not approve something that is going to hurt the members of the community. Okay. I also wanted to give a very special thanks to Ms. Tinsy Eason and to Mr. Clifford Ross regarding the uptick in crime and recent activities that has happened. I'm not going to go into any detail because I really don't care to. But I do have 4 points that I think need to be thought about. Number one, Orange's 911 operators really need training. They really need training. Compassion, decorum, they really need training. The calls, somebody needs to be reviewing the calls, listening to them, and really be making sure that our 911 operators are competent enough to be in the roles that they have, because I would be afraid if a child were to call 911 in Orange because a parent is ill or sick, because our 911 operators aren't ready, okay? I would like to know from the chief if he would be able to tell us what is the average police response time in Orange. That should be a number that I think you guys should be able to have. I would like to know what is the response time. I know that a proposed meeting was organized, and that needs to be on there. I need to also know what is the police to resident ratio in Orange. That is a big part of the budget. That needs to be discussed. We need to know what's going on with that. Also, we need to also know as residents, because I'm just a resident that just is looking for information, and I want a good place to raise my family. I understand you were just doing your job, but the only reason I have my children with me here is because, again, this is technology. We're in 2021. There are multiple ways, as my father would say, to skin a cat, and coming in person and limiting access to residents cannot be the only way. Because out of everyone sitting here, I don't know how many people are residents or not who are taxpayers in Orange, but this cannot be all the residents in Orange who are concerned. I have neighbors who call us all the time. Do you know what's going on? Do you know what's going on? Council members, I charge you, if, you know, please, okay? Be concerned, because we're concerned, and I'm scared. And Ms. Eason, thank you so much for calling me. I greatly appreciate it. Clifford Ross, thank you for calling right away. You guys don't want to know what we experienced, okay?
James Ward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is James Ward. Same address. I don't think I need to say it again. I'm talking today in response to a letter that was sent to the Seven Oaks Society in response to the incident that was mentioned previously on Haxton Avenue. I'm going to be sending you all a letter, but I'm going to read part of it now. We need more police representation at this meeting that's going to be happening on next week, Wednesday. We've been encountering a major uptick in violent crime in our area, as was mentioned. At least 2 residents lost their lives in the last 30 days in my neighborhood. We would prefer an in-person meeting, like we're doing today, something as at the scale of the October 20th, 2020 Crime Watch meeting, where questions were answered by Orange Police leadership. In addition to the June 24th shooting on Haxton Avenue, we do have additional issues that we would like addressed at this meeting. You mentioned previously the homicide on Seven Oaks Road. Thank you for providing a little detail on that. There are still continually open-air drug sales on Haywood and Berkeley Avenue, on Tremont and Berkeley Avenue. There's constant speeding down Haywood and Tremont coming up from Scotland Road. There was a car accident that happened this last Friday on July 2nd in front of Haywood Avenue School during summer school drop-off. The car accident happened right in front of the school. Cars are parked on the western end of Haywood after the posted hours that are right there. There's some cars that have been derelict on that road for months. Throughout the pandemic, multiple cars just sit there. Non-permitted major home renovations are also on an uptick as we get into warmer seasons. And even for the jobs that are permitted, they're very untidy job sites. We try to keep our community clean, but if people are coming into our community to make money off of flipping homes, they need to do so without destroying this place. In addition, lastly, we have the 2020 noise ordinance that is not being enforced. We had a giant document that we all went over last year about this time, and nothing has been done or shown to the community that you have anything in place that went into that regulation. There was supposed to be noise monitoring, active patrols, and giving us what is the data, because there's a certain decibel level that's supposed to be reached in order for there to be a problem. And I haven't seen purchase for any of that equipment. I haven't seen that happening when people call about noise. Thank you all for having us here, and I'll reiterate the point that we've done this for the last year online. We should continue to do it because, again, we're lowering the amount of discourse that's needed in this community, and you guys need our input. And the only way you're going to get it is if you allow us to continue to doing these meetings online. I was told by our officer here that my child was making too much noise. If you don't want that, let us do this online. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, check.
Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Motion, Madam Clerk, to close citizen comments.
Montague. Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Council comments?
Council Vice President Easton.
Just because I'm sitting in the first seat doesn't mean I need to be number one.
I didn't understand you.
Never mind. I have a question. Yesterday there was a storm, and I got a call today. So if you can't hear, can we just cut those 2 air conditioners off for now? I'll fan Harold if he's too hot.
Scream into the mic. Scream into the mic.
So we can hear.
It sounds like woo 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 like from over
Just
here.
cut one of them off.
Not on this side.
If Harold's too hot, I'll fan
Take
him.
off your jacket. On this side. Take off your jacket.
Yeah, shut that side off.
Can you hear now? Is that better?
It's better.
See that?
It's better.
Okay. At least one ear works better, right? Okay. If a tree falls on a car while it's driving down the street and it scratches up the car, the question is, who do they call? Is that the city or?
Where was the tree located?
It was on Berkeley Avenue.
Yeah, but is it on the resident side of the sidewalk or the city side of the sidewalk?
I was going to go over this afternoon because I worked with the young lady, but I didn't get a chance. But she just needs to know who to report it to.
Well, she needs to report it to her own insurance company, and they'll
First?
give her direction from there.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll call her tonight and let her know that. The other question I have, how long has the police building been vacant? 595, since what, 20 years? 30
Well,
years?
I think I was the last municipal prosecutor in that building. And that would have been 1994.
So, and it was...
So the new building opened up in 2001. So that building was vacated when the new building opened up.
So through all of those years, now that that building is sold, and I've been made aware that those records and stuff are still there.
Some of them, and others have been added, and they're being cataloged.
So do you know who's cataloging them?
Yeah, we have a whole protocol going through with Public Works. Most of the documents were cataloged before they were put in there.
Well, my question to you, Business Administrator, we have a records management expert. Why aren't we using her to do that so we can make sure that we can shred what needs to be shredded and package up what needs to be packaged up and move to a different location?
Are you referring to the clerk?
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to have the clerk do that.
So could you work with our clerk and have her do that?
That would mean additional personnel from the clerk's office, or you want to try and,
Well, no,
that would be kind of difficult to absorb.
What we should do is,
There's a ton of papers over there that don't need to be saved. You're absolutely correct.
so why don't
But
we
going
have
through them, they're going through them with a record retention schedule in their hand.
Well, why don't
Those
we
that
let-
don't need to be retained will be placed in one trailer, and the others will be placed in another trailer. The ones that don't need to be retained will be destroyed in accordance with the Records Destruction Act.
Do you see how nicely that room down there is cleaned out?
I did see that.
We hadn't seen the floor in that room in years.
And now I can see the leaks now.
That's a good thing. So now you can repair them. But why don't we let her work out her situation and come to you with the recommendation of how they're going to get that done? How's that?
Okay.
Ms. Lanier, can you work with Chris and give him a recommendation on how you're going to handle that and how that's going to help? I mean, I don't work during the summer, so if you need me to put on some gloves and jeans, I'll come over and help.
You didn't say jeans.
So
Overalls.
I'll crawl around the floor with you guys. Just let me know. Give me a couple of days' notice. But I'll volunteer my services. But and one of the questions, and I agree with our police director. Where did he leave? Where is he? Mr. Lieutenant. I mean, detective.
I think he's in the conference. Yeah, he's in the conference.
What are the questions about the training for the 911 operators? I could agree with that. Do we have anything do we put anything in the budget to send them to training?
We do have 911 training. It's mandated that they have training through the state, and they need to pass a test in order to obtain that position through civil service. So
But where do we get the training for people's skills?
that's the next thing I'm getting into. I already pulled the tapes for this whole incident, so I don't want to get into it because I am investigating it because, like I said, we do take every complaint serious and we do look into it because that's the only way we can become better as a police department is to understand that we did something wrong, maybe not intentionally, maybe just the way it was handled, but we have to move forward that way. So, yes, all our dispatchers, we're going to, and we recognize this several months ago, more sensitivity training. Because you have to understand, we all may think a complaint's frivolous. That's not our complaint. But to that individual, that's an important complaint. And I want them to feel that the Orange Police Department is taking that complaint just as serious as they are. Because we are.
Because sometimes when you call this and you want a police car, and they ask them questions like, what's the address? And you say, but it's between Alden and Washington. Well, what address? There's no address. Just send the cop over there. There's a person down on the ground that needs to be picked up. And they waste too much time with those questions instead of just doing the dispatch.
Yes. So, you know what? What I'm going to do now that you brought this up, I could go more in depth for the last 6 to 7 months. We could put all the tapes, but it'll take some time. And I'm going to go through each one of the calls and see how they're being handled and seeing how the citizens are being treated and how the responses are being handled. But before that is being completed, we are going to look up the sensitivity training and the other training that we think needs to be addressed.
Yeah, because there's a lot of those training classes out there. Some of them are free, so you might want to bring some of them in.
For the last year and a half, though, there's been no training. There's been nothing open. But
I know.
Now everything's starting to come back to normal, and we'll definitely look into that.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Councilman Ross.
Thank you, Council President. Is anybody here from code enforcement? No. Well,
The director's
The director's here. Beth.
Director Best. This council put through an ordinance not too long ago regarding porta potties, okay, where they should be put on the rear of the properties. They should be locked up at the end of the workday, and they should be inspected by the health department, on a weekly basis, I think it was. There's 3 porta potties that's on, 2 is on Jefferson Street. One on North Jefferson, 40 Jefferson Street, is right on the sidewalk. Okay, you literally have to walk in the street to go around it to walk on the street on the sidewalk. So, these things, they need some enforcement needs to be done. Okay, they need to be locked up at night, and they need to be sanitized, and in the back of the construction projects.
Okay. You said 40 North Jefferson?
40 North Jefferson.
Okay.
And there's one on South Jefferson, and there's one on White Street, and I'm sure there's some more around the city. But they need to be in the rear of the properties.
All right.
And locked up at the end of the day. Thank you. Yeah, that's it for you. Public Works, I have a couple of things going on.
That's it for you.
Marty's not here, and Ray's not here. So, Chris, I'm going to give this to you. What happened to we asked for those dividers, and I think Marty said that the dividers on Main Street by Dunkin' Donuts was here.
Those were replaced and have been shredded.
One is falling
again.
down now.
The ones that were replaced have been shredded again. We're going to move to the heavier gauge steel.
Okay. And curb painting. I see curb painting is going on around the city. Are we doing the whole city?
We're doing it in phases.
Okay, because it really needs to be done. And not only is the painting needs to be done, enforcement needs to be done. I know parking is at a premium here in the city. Cars park right up to the curb. I mean, and you cannot act, you literally have to go out into the intersection, before you can cross the intersection. And, these cars need to be towed or given tickets, and these lines need to be, put back on, these paintings, because A lot of the painting on the curbs in the city are non-existent.
Has been for years.
So would that be done before the summer is over?
We're working on it.
Okay.
It's an entire city that needs curb painting.
Yeah.
It's not just the end of streets, it's at curb cuts, it's at fire hydrants, it's at crosswalks, we have a whole list.
Okay. One other issue I have, and this is, we have a brand new school annex that looks beautiful. The parking lot has been repaved across the street, beautiful. Then we have the building, the historical site building that's sitting right in the middle of the parking lot. And it looks like a haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Is there plans for this building? Is there any grants or anything that we can do to restore this building to make it look like it's
Superintendent said
It's owned by the Board of Ed.
yes. The superintendent said yes. I asked him the other day because they had the prom toast off. I asked him.
Okay, great.
I need the money to spend on painting curbs.
Right. That ain't our property.
Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome, Councilman Ross. Councilwoman Wooten.
Council President. Let me see. I just have a couple of things. I've asked since 2016 when I became a council member to get some sort of alerts to give to the residents about street closures. I get so many texts, telephone calls, nasty emails about people trying or rushing somewhere, and then all of a sudden the street is closed. So I don't know who came first, the chicken or the egg. I know Ray Wingfield helped me with it before a couple of times, only twice. But if this is something that we can give to the residents, they're asking for it. And I think we're not as big as New York, and they can do it. So why can't Orange? And I don't know if we need to legislate this for it to be done, but can we just please take care of this? And then I have another question. This will go to the clerk's office regarding whenever an ordinance is passed. For example, there's some street namings that we passed, and they're not, Public Works Department said they don't have them. So what is the procedure for when something passed? Like, how do we get it to that other department? For example, the police department said they weren't aware that parking permits start at 4 p.m. on Hampton Terrace from 4 p.m. to 7. So how do we make sure that that next department knows that that ordinance has passed? Another thing that I have, we are missing a director on the agenda, and she's been missed for a while, and that's Wendy Sykes. She's the Director of Community Service, and she's not on the agenda where all the other directors are. And I want everybody to stay safe. Remember that COVID does still exist. People still are dying from it. It still is serious, so just ask people to, stay safe. If you want to get your vaccinations, get them. Be careful. And it is something that is important. And then on a high note, Ebenezer Baptist Church is celebrating 150 years in the community. See now, space. In the community on Sunday. This church has been in Orange for 150 years. It is definitely a community church of old. They give out food. They have AA meetings. They have narcotics meetings. They're always ready to lend us tables and chairs. There's not anything that Pastor Rutherford will do for the city of Orange Township. So I would like to say to Ebenezer Baptist Church, congratulations on 150 years in the community. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Councilman Johnson.
Council President, good evening, sir. I'll be brief, and I just want to really piggyback on a couple of statements by some of our residents that visited tonight, because my phone's been blowing up all day from Westwood folks asking the same types of questions. We're 2021, we deal with the pandemic, everything's fluid. Everybody's IT person is working overtime, and so why can't we get some additional communication back to the community in addition to everybody coming back out in this draconian way of us going back into the council chambers? I see we got Channel 35, and I must admit, I don't have Comcast myself, so my wife can't see me at a meeting. So I'm not the only one that doesn't have Channel 35. But we attracted quite a bit of our constituency during the pandemic by using these tools that are available. So I would ask the leadership, clerk's office, administration, to delve in to see if we can accommodate council meeting information while some of our constituents can't make the meeting. And then I'll close on that and let you guys chew on that and see if we can come up with something or a better explanation going forward. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Madam Clerk, you want to answer that question?
So, Councilwoman Wooten, at the end, when the legislation is passed, one of the staff members in the office sends it out to each department, whatever legislation pertains to the department. Maybe we might have the wrong contact, but we send it to the police department, we send it to Public Works, so they all should be getting the legislation. If they can just tell me who in the department it should be sent to directly, then we can just change the person.
Okay. I'm not saying that you know, they don't have it. I'm just saying that when I call and say, like, we did this on this time, like, do you have it? Sometimes it's like, we don't have it. So I just wanted to make sure. We emailed them, right, so we got a record?
Yeah, we emailed them.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just to add to that, how often do you have your directors' meetings, Mr. B.A.?
When they come back, starting next week.
So that's on a...
I would have had it this week, but I'm away.
So you have them on a
He's away.
A bi-weekly basis, a weekly basis, something like that, or?
Originally, it was on a weekly basis, then we moved it to a bi-weekly basis.
Okay. I'm just thinking out loud, maybe when you have your directors meeting, if you don't already, you can just maybe just add that in their any current legislation that was passed, you know, just make sure that the directors check the emails and enact accordingly to the legislation that was passed for that particular department. I don't know. I mean, that might could be just one way of just making sure that everyone stay in the loop. All right. Councilman Walden Montague III.
Good evening, everyone. Through you, President, to the BA. As a lot of people know, I'm one of the baseball coaches down at Metcalf. I just want to know who's responsible for maintaining the field. It's terrible. It's actually an embarrassment. Down on the field, in the infield, there's grass growing through the sand. No one. We have teams coming from Ivy Hill, East Orange, and it's an embarrassment. We go to other fields, it's nice, clean.
Turf.
No, Councilwoman Johnson can verify that. Okay?
Has it been like this all year? Or
Yes.
is it just the last 2 weeks?
All year. We're actually playing on cement. When it's hot outside, it's like mud that dried. Nobody rakes it. We got dandelions growing in the outfield. They don't maintain it at all. And it's an embarrassment. Seems like we have, is Public Works responsible?
Yes.
No one comes in, and you know.
I'll deal with it tomorrow.
It needs to be regularly. They need to know when we have games. It's definitely a problem. I want to thank Chief Vinny, because he has somebody that patrols Metcalf regularly. So a lot of the problems we used to have, we don't have it anymore. also want to piggyback on something that Councilwoman Wooten touched on. A lot of the residents were blowing up my phone because the county worked on Park Avenue. I don't know if y'all noticed that. And a lot of people didn't know how to get to their house. They put out signs, but some people weren't notified. So I was directing people to go up wrong way streets. What else do you do to get to your house? So they should have knew this in advance. It even happened to me. I went out, baseball practice, came home, couldn't go down my street. Okay, so that's a problem. We need more communication. Okay, so, thank you. I hope everybody has a safe summer. Definitely, Ebenezer Baptist Church, we're having a celebration. When is it?
Sunday at 3:30.
Sunday at 3:30. That's my church. That's Councilwoman Wooten's church. And come out and see us. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Councilwoman Simmons Johnson.
Greetings. I just think there's some miscommunication going on because my phone is blowing up. People are like, we're watching it on YouTube. So
It is on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, but if residents, I don't know how they were notified it was on YouTube, so I think we have some things in place. We just are not good with getting it out to the residents. I definitely agree that, it could also be Zoomed at the same time and someone could be monitoring the Zoom because we definitely had more residents via Zoom. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was really easy for me too, because I was running someplace I could at least log on, before I got to where I was going. I just, don't want to be late. But one thing COVID taught us, even as a school teacher, is we can do so much. Like now we know we can, things don't have to stop now. So, like you said, everyone's Wi-Fi, everybody has the top notch now. So I definitely agree that more input is better. And I don't want residents to ever think that we're trying to shy them away. But if I look out in the crowd, this was actually the normal crowd for in-person. So that part is correct. But since we had so many people during the Zoom, we don't want to lose them. As far as the noise ordinance that we sponsored, were the decibel readers ordered yet? Because I know that's the most important part to enforcing it.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I have to
Okay, so we definitely need to find out because
I know that I signed the requisition.
Okay, because that's, to me, it's because what I say is loud. Like my neighbors had a party the other day. The music was fantastic. About 8 o'clock, the music started going down. 9 o'clock, you didn't hear anything, and it was fine. But, it wasn't a problem for me. But if it was too loud for someone else and the police came with a decibel reader, then they're following the code and no one could be upset. 3 years of begging, and finally I see some movement at Orange Park on the corner of South Harrison and South Center Street, and I am so happy. I am so happy that we will be getting the flowers. I hope that people will be planting their wedding pictures there again, because as a little girl, that is what Orange Park was known for. And I asked before, what is important about Orange Park? Like the Newark parks have the cherry blossoms and things like that. We could bring that as a positive attraction to the city of Orange. I'd like to thank all the residents, friends, and family that donated to my bed and bag giveaway. I was able to give away 25 bed and bags to Orange 2021 graduates. Out of the 25, 24 of them were Orange High and STEM, and one was an Orange resident that attended Newark Academy and will be attending Columbia. But the schools they were coming to me with, I was blown away. I mean, Drew, Hampton, NJIT, $25 million worth of scholarships from Orange Public Schools, which I am a product of, and I'm very proud of that. Tremont Place residents, I just want to let you know, I spoke with Rudy in Animal Control and RBA, and he's going to give me a report of how many raccoons and groundhogs, because they are terrorizing the South Ward. I'm sure the West Ward and anywhere, that they just feel like being. But he is definitely going to give me a report. He says when he captures them, he takes pictures and he dates and documents how many he takes, because we must just have a whole bunch because he took a lot and it didn't do anything. And to our research officer, I wanted to know, I'm not sure, I have to check the code, but can we legislate that people have to throw their garbage away in a garbage can? Because I know we have a rodent issue now, and like some of the apartment buildings and stuff, they put out like 50 bags of garbage. It's like McDonald's for our rat population. And I know the Valley was having some issues, but I know we were talking about trying to get cans for residents.
Your
at some
new
point.
garbage ordinance is coming for the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Well then, hey, let's move on. All
That
right,
includes
see?
can requirements, not only for residents, but it includes lid requirements.
Okay.
It also includes a new dumpster requirement for multifamily buildings.
Perfect. Look at that. See? Ask and you shall receive. Okay. Wait a minute. I wrote it down because I'm a teacher. Wait, 3. Wait a minute. What's 4? Don't laugh. Okay. Nobody laugh. Okay. Here we go. Oh, and back to the neighborhood watches again. I want to thank the police. We've been running these meetings for an hour, and we let residents know in advance it's going to be an hour because we respect their time. And actually, when neighborhood watches are just talking about crime and quality of life, you can really get that done in an hour. Like I said, the police department gives me whatever crime stats they have. I put it in a PowerPoint. Ms. Best gives me whatever violations. I put that in a PowerPoint, and then we do question and answer, and we're done in an hour. We will probably be able to do those in person, but again, I was trying to get as many people as possible. That's why I wanted to do it on the Zoom. I want to thank Director Warren, Chief Vinny, and BA for letting me meet with you and go off. I came in there on 100, right? I left on like 25. I felt good when I left, but I was hot, but I thank you for that. Public Works, this is my big question. BA, you can take this back. From Scotland Road, under the train trestle, going into the valley, cars are parking right under the trestle. No fire truck would ever be able to get to someone. I mean, they are literally, I couldn't believe it today coming from baseball. They were parked under it, like nobody can get by, and it's not yellow, and it doesn't say no parking. So that's why they parked there. So I needed to see if those could be painted yellow. Just buy a whole bunch of yellow paint. We need a lot of yellow, okay? And lastly, a resident brought this to my attention that I know there was a recent grant, but it did not include the South Ward. I'm pretty sure it didn't include the West Ward. We didn't qualify for it. It was an outside group that did it, right? But I remember I had a student write a grant, and it was going to be like for a South Ward cohort for students, and it was like, no, you can't do something only in one ward. So what I'm trying to say is there a way for us to get grants for, and it not be isolated to one ward? Because I have South Ward residents calling me, wanting to get their house painted, wanting to do home improvement. They're looking for grants, and I really have no answer for them. So if there was a grant that was created for a certain section of Orange, is there a way for the city to apply for the same type of grant and not exclude a certain area of the city?
I'll look. I got a phone call earlier today regarding these types of grant programs on a citywide basis, and we don't have one.
Okay.
So we can reprogram funds, and we're looking at, we have funds in what's called a low and moderate income rehabilitation trust fund that dates back to 1988, 89. Where the city took money from another community to rehab low and moderate income housing. If we can get the state's permission, we can reprogram some of that funding into a grant program for facade improvements and other improvements for income qualified residences citywide.
Okay. And last but not least, were you able to look up 179 Sterling Drive East in South Orange, the eyesore on my street?
Yes.
For South Orange, the city we brag about so much that is not maintaining its property?
I spoke to the building department in South Orange.
Okay, thank you so much.
Over dinner.
Okay, thank you, President. I'm done.
Alrighty. I will be real quick. Mr. B.A., maybe a year or so ago, maybe 2 years, we had this community service program running through the courts when people had to serve their sentences or pay their fines here in Orange, and that kind of just like fell off. But
Because of COVID.
oh, I think it fell up prior to COVID.
We still had people working through their community service.
Okay, so I know we not fully back online yet, but do you have any idea when this program will be back up and running?
So the courts are still not 100% in person, and that presents some supervision issues, but I'll address it with the court director.
Okay. There was something else I had, but I think at our last meeting, Councilman Johnson asked about National Night Out. What's the status with that?
So the budget will pass presumably in August. That will actually be 2 days before National Night Out, or is it 1 day after?
One day.
1 day after. So I have to figure out between the mayor, myself, and the clerk's office what financial planning we can do for National Night Out in advance of the budget passing.
Okay. And I just have just one, thank you, Mr. B.A. I just have just one comment. I wish our Essex County rep was here. I received the Essex County concert series of, I guess, pamphlet in the mail a few weeks ago. And maybe I overlooked it, but I didn't see I guess, dates for Orange Park. I don't know the reason why, but maybe they didn't have enough events, or maybe they just feel that Orange Park isn't worthy of, hosting a concert or whatever event that they had going on. I mean that they will be having going on this summer. So, Madam Clerk, if you can give me the Essex County.
He'll be at the next meeting.
He'll be next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Ordinance on second reading, public hearing. 14-2021, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 2010, Development Recommendations to prohibit any class of cannabis business within its geographical boundaries. The recommendation is to remain tabled. Is there a motion to lift from the table? Seeing none, it will remain tabled. 24-2021, an ordinance to amend the city code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 4, entitled Administration of Government, Article 2, entitled City Council, Section 15, entitled City Clerk. This was postponed from 6/1 and 6/15, and the recommendation is to keep postponed. Is there a recommendation to postpone to the August 4th meeting?
I make a recommendation to postpone to the next meeting, August meeting.
Second, Wooten.
Councilman Johnson.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Wooten. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III?
Yes.
Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Coley?
Yes.
The item is postponed. 27-2021, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-52-2, Handicap Parking Spaces, 448 Meade Street. Are there any citizens who wish to speak on this? Is there a motion to close citizen comments? Move. Wooten.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Wooten, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
The recommendation on this, because we didn't get all the backup, is to vote it down and bring it back. Is there a motion to adopt on final? Move. Wooten. Motion by Councilmember Wooten, second.
Johnson Jr., second.
Second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
No.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
No.
Councilmember Montague III.
No.
Councilmember Ross.
No.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
This is the one we're supposed to vote no.
What did I do?
Okay. No.
Councilmember Wooten.
No.
Council President Coley.
No.
The motion did not pass. 32-2021 WO, a bond ordinance of the City of Orange Township in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, repealing bond ordinance number 22-2020, adopted on July 8, 2020, as amended by bond ordinance number 2-2021, adopted on February 16, 2020, and canceling the $8 million appropriation and debt authorization thereunder. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Move to close citizen comments, Johnson Jr.
Second. Montague.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final.
Move, Wooten.
Is there a second?
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Wooten, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten.
Yes.
Council President Coley.
Yes.
Motion passed. 33-2021, an ordinance amending ordinance 19-2020 to increase the purchase price of 540 Mitchell Street, Orange, New Jersey, from $290,000 to $350,000 in a contract of sale previously authorized by the Municipal Council of the City of Orange Township, and authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute and/or re-execute the documents necessary to implement the conveyance of this property at the amended purchase price. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Move, Johnson Jr.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final.
Move, Johnson Jr.
Second, Wooten.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Wooten. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten.
Yes.
Council President Coley.
Yes.
Motion passed. 34-2021, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Orange Township amending the Central Valley redevelopment plan to include Block 4009, Lot 1, currently owned by New Jersey Transit Corporation in District 4. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Is there a motion to keep the citizen comments open to the August 4th meeting?
Move, Madam Clerk, Johnson Jr.
Second, Wooten.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Wooten. All in favor?
Aye.
This will remain open till August 4th. 35-2021 WO, an ordinance of the City of Orange Township to approve a tax exemption for a 30-year exemption, and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement between the city and PCI 1 owner Urban Renewal LLC. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Motion to close citizen comments.
Move, Wooten.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Wooten, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final.
Move, Johnson Jr.
Second, Wooten.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Wooten. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten.
Yes.
Council President Coley.
Yes.
Motion passed. Ordinance on introduction, first reading. 36-2021, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-32, No Parking, Bradford Street. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Motion.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Montague III, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion,
On the motion.
seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten. Oh, she stepped out the room. Council President Coley.
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, 1 absent. Motion passed. 37-2021. An ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-33, no parking certain hours, Bradford Street. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move it, Ross.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten stepped out the room. Council President Coley.
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, 1 absent. Motion passed. 38-2021. An ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-38, one-way street, Bradford Street. Motion to adopt on first.
Move it, Ross.
Second, Johnson
Montague.
Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Ross.
Ross.
Second by Councilmember John. Y'all pointing at each other.
I know.
Second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross. Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, 1 absent. Motion passed. 39-2021, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle Traffic, Section 200-40, Section 9, Stop Intersection, Bradford Street. Motion to adopt on first.
Move Johnson Jr.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passed. 40-2021, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 166, titled Rent Control, to reform the system for registration of rental units, the licensing of such units, and to impose sanctions on landlords who permit repeated violations of law by their tenants. Motion to adopt on first.
Move it, Ross.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Montague III. On the motion.
On the motion.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman.
where did the business administrator go? Is she still over there?
He there.
Do we need to change that to rent? You want to leave it as rent control?
It has to go in that portion of the ordinance.
So you want to leave the title the same?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that
You
part.
want to leave the title the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Councilmember Coley. Council
Yes.
President. That's 6 yeas, motion passed. The final reading for the above ordinance will be on August the 4th, 2021. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the agenda order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Council members, are there any items you wish to remove?
Council President, you're moving 332, right?
332, yes.
And 339.
Any other items? The consent,
What are we doing with 334?
334?
Unless I made some notes in the wrong place.
Oh, we didn't have any problems with that one.
No problem with that?
I'm sorry, I missed it, but did you remove the ones for the executive session?
We did.
Not yet.
Yes, we did.
334 is cool?
339, executive session.
You said 332, 339, and 334?
Is that
Okay.
executive session? 334?
Oh, no, I'm fine. I just want to make sure I
No,
might
not
have made some notes.
334, just 332 and 339.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have a pen, so he was a little right with his finger.
Yeah, that might have been the time when my pen ran out. The time before, it was scribbling.
The consent agenda consists of 332, 323, 324, 325, 326, 327, 328, 329, 330, 331, 333, 334, 335, 336, 337, 338, and 340. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second, Montague.
Motion by Councilmember Easton, second by Councilmember Montague III. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Easton?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III?
Yes.
Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, motion passed. So, what's the motion to change the agenda around? Help me out, it's late.
Suspend the rules.
Council
Oh,
President?
can we suspend the rules to do the walk-ons and come back to go into executive session? Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
I make a motion to suspend the rules to do the walk-on.
Second, Johnson Jr.
A motion by Councilmember Easton, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Easton.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
That's 6 yeas, and we have suspended the rules. We're going to move to the 3 walk-ons. That's new business walk-ons. Ordinance 341-2021, WO, a resolution to amend the City of Orange Township CY 2021 municipal budget. 342-2021, WO, a resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the City of Orange Township Transit Village Improvements fiscal year 2022. 343-2021 WO, resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the City of Orange Township Safe Streets to Transit Improvement fiscal year 2022. Is there a motion to walk these items onto the agenda?
Move Johnson Jr.
Second, Montague.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Easton.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
These items are now walked onto the agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to discuss any of the items that were just walked onto the agenda? Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Motion.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Easton, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 341-2021 WO, a resolution to amend the City of Orange Township CY 2021 municipal budget. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move Johnson Jr.
Second, Montague.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Montague III. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Easton.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
Motion passed. 342-2021, a resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the City of Orange Township Transit Village Improvements, fiscal year 2022. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passed. 343-2021 WO, resolution authorizing approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the City of Orange Township Safe Streets to Transit Improvement, fiscal year 2022. Motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passed. (344-2021 WO), a resolution to hold an executive closed session. The purpose of this executive closed session is discuss litigation matters. Is there a motion to adopt and go into executive closed session?
Motion to adopt and go into closed session.
Second, Summers Johnson.
Motion by Councilmember Ross, second by Councilmember Summers Johnson. On that motion?
On the motion, will we take action when we come out?
Huh?
Will we be taking action when we come out?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call. Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III?
Yes.
Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
A motion to enter into executive closed session.
Move, Johnson Jr.
Second, Ross.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Ross. On the motion.
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III.
Yes.
Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley.
Yes.
We are now entering into executive closed session at 9:16 p.m. Mr. Ward, at this point, you have to exit the chambers. At 10:05 p.m. It's back there. Okay. Let's see. Resolution 332-2021. Someone right? Oh, you open the door. Councilwoman Summers Johnson, can you open the door?
Can I do?
Open the door for us.
I thought you said move from the door. I'm like, what? Yes.
Resolution 332-2021, a resolution authorizing the tax collector to refund Andre Robin Hamilton or the entity to be designated by Andre and Robin Hamilton for redemptions of certificate numbers 140136A and 14-0136, in addition to tax paid in 2018 and 2019 for a total amount of $49,261.31, plus interest in amount of $1,534.98, for a total amount of $50,796.29 on 38 Webster Place, Block 3203, Lot 10. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move, Johnson Jr.
Second, Summers Johnson.
Motion by Councilmember Johnson Jr., second by Councilmember Summers Johnson. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilmember Eason?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Montague III?
No.
Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
Yes.
That's 5 yeas, 1 nay, and 1 absent. Motion passed. Resolution authorizing a 339-2021, a resolution authorizing a contract with Post Pollock, PA, to serve as conflict counsel to represent the municipal council of the City of Orange Township in defending the lawsuit entitled City of Orange Township and Dwayne D. Warren, Mayor versus the Municipal Council of the City of Orange Township, Joyce L. Lanier, Hardwood Lloyd LLC, John Doe 1-100, and XYZ Corporation 1-100, docket number ESX-L-003047-21, in amount not to exceed $10,000 for the calendar year 2021. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Montague III, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. On the motion?
On the motion.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilwoman Eason?
No.
Councilmember Johnson Jr.?
No.
Councilmember Montague III?
No.
Councilmember Ross?
Stay.
Councilmember Summers Johnson?
No.
Councilmember Wooten is absent. Council President Coley?
No.
That's 5 nays, 1 abstain, and 1 absent. Motion did not pass. Is there any pending business? The budget hearings will be 6 p.m. on August 4th, which is the council meeting at 7 p.m. on August 4th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second, Johnson Jr.
Motion by Councilmember Montague III, second by Councilmember Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 10:10 p.m. Safe travels.